war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
The disastrous rise of misplaced power exists.
All we have built, all we have worked for, would be destroyed.
There is nothing the political establishment will not do.
And this nation will not be fully free until all its citizens are free.
Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action,
These criminals cannot be rewarded.
so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction.
There is a point beyond which they must not advance.
They're coming after you, and I'm just standing in their way. Here I am.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
The cost of freedom is always high.
Those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
This is a crusade! This is a holy war against the deep state!
We never wanted to be right, but yet things are all adding up to the firestorm.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets spread the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Thursday, typically around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But today, just a little bit delayed, had some things going on. You can tell I still had some of my dinner on my hoodie. So I had a septic put in today, had a lot of construction at my house. Some things were just all over the place, so I had to take care of that. And then I had a little birthday that we had to celebrate, and friends of ours brought over their Cybertruck. It was really cool. I don't know if you guys seen the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck sang "Happy Birthday." It was kind of cool. So I just a little delayed tonight, but we're here. We're gonna rock and roll, and we're gonna do this. And tonight is War Games. That's where we're living in right now. An invisible war. And how it's all unfolding before us, guys. In 12 days, 13 days, and 12 days, we will know the path that leads to victory of taking back our country. Both paths are hard and painful. This is why many of us here are here. History will talk about these times for a very long time. You know, I was talking to some friends tonight about kind of what's happening in the world. And these aren't, gung-ho, super patriots, but all of them feel the same way, that there's no good outcome that's going to come after November 5th. We know that they are ramping up for war against you and me. That come hell or high water, that is what we're going to see after November 5th. It doesn't matter if they win or if they lose. It is going to be the same scenario that plays out. Saw this meme on X today, and I think it really sums up the attack on Donald Trump here. What do you think? Plan A, try to assassinate him. Plan B, they swap out Joe Biden. Plan C, they start Donald Trump with a fake quote that was planted out there saying that he wished he had Hitler's genitals. And then Plan D, steal the election. Now, how truthful is that they're going to steal the election? I don't know. I feel in one sense that it's too big to steal. But it's only too big to steal in the context that if you steal it, everybody's going to know. It's going to be blatantly obvious. And right now, it's blatantly obvious. But then there's the other part. The other part of this is that they could set Donald Trump up in the sense where he stole the election. And that's what happens on January 6th. We were talking to Game Tech last night. We know Jamie Raskin's plan. They're going to utilize the 14th Amendment. I thought it was Section 2, but it's Section 3. Saying that he's unfit to be a president. You still have RNC Rule number 9. There's a lot of factors at play here. I think that we will have another assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, especially in 13 days, is if Donald Trump wins the election. I think you will absolutely begin to see a larger uptick of those types of events, false flags, and destabilization within the system. Game Tech was talking about November 26th. This is the sentencing date of Donald Trump. They're going to send him to jail, people. They're win or lose, they are going to sentence him to jail. Okay. I've heard from a lot of legal pundits that, yeah, they might, but if they do, it's literally going to be, a month or something like that. Nope. I think they're going to throw the book at him one way or another. They're going to throw the book at him. November is probably one of the biggest months in the history of the United States of America. Think about that. November 2024 is just a big month like July 1776. It's game time. And look, they're attacking everybody. They're attacking Elon. Elon is out there going around Pennsylvania, talking to people, trying to help people get registered to vote. The DOJ has came out and warned Elon over America PAC's use of a sweepstake. The Justice Department's election crimes head, Robert Herberly, allegedly sent a warning letter to Elon Musk's America PAC, stating that offering anything of value to influence voting violates U.S. law. Elon's PAC has been offering $1 million in sweepstakes to registered voters in battleground states. Legal experts believe that this violates the law. Only left legal experts. While no immediate legal action was mentioned, the letter detailed penalties, including imprisonment. Now, here's the interesting thing. Elon's PAC argues that its $1 million sweepstakes doesn't break federal law because the prize is tied to the signing of a petition, not directly to registering to vote. Legally, offering for the signing a petition isn't the same as paying for voter registration or voting. a distinction that will likely protect it from prosecution. Some states, like Pennsylvania, also don't explicitly prohibit incentives for registration. Despite concerns, legal action is unlikely without clear proof of intent to influence voting. I wouldn't have done it, but I think that Elon understands that, hey, look, there's a lot of people out there that didn't vote in 2020. 50 million Americans didn't vote in 2020. Well, literally 83 million didn't vote for Joe Biden. But there was 50 million people that actually didn't vote. And no, they didn't go vote for Joe Biden. So we're seeing the attacks ramp up on RFK Jr., on Vivek Ramaswamy, on Donald Trump, and on Elon Musk. On Alex Jones. This is just the surface level, people. When they're done with them, they're coming after you and me. And I think we all know where that's going to lead to. And that's not a discussion I think we're going to have right now. I think we all understand where that lies in the sense of the 10th Amendment Civil War and what we've talked about a 10th Amendment Civil War. And I say that because that's what I wish for, is if we devolve to that point in our society, if we head towards that level of civil war, that at least it be a 10th Amendment Civil War. And the 10th Amendment Civil War is where the states rise up and no longer recognize federal authority, where the states rise up and say, you can't do that. This is bullshit. And I think that we are going to see that in and around the January timeframe. So former model Stacey Williams claims that Donald Trump, came out today, by the way, groped her 31 years ago. Williams claimed that she met Donald Trump through Jeffrey Epstein. And yep, of course she is. So she is doing the same play that E. Jean Carroll did, right? Someone's looking for a payday the same way that E. Jean Carroll did. Lie your ass off with no evidence and file a lawsuit in New York so the court can go after Donald Trump and take him for hundreds of millions of dollars. So they're coming after Donald Trump again. Now, we were talking about this back in September. We were saying that there's an October surprise that was going to drop on Donald Trump and that this was AI generated in a deep fake. One of the things that we had was the Apprentice movie was coming out and that the producer of The Apprentice had an audio conversation where Donald Trump is yelling and screaming about black people. It's not true. Didn't happen. Lots of people have confirmed this didn't happen. Yesterday, we just saw this General Kelly came out and was saying that Donald Trump said that he wished he had generals like Hitler. That is not true. There was multiple other people in the room. This actually coincided with an incident of a service member's funeral where Donald Trump offered to pay for the funeral. And they were running a story yesterday, The Atlantic, talking about how Donald Trump basically said that they're trying to rip me off and nobody would pay $60,000 for a funeral. And everybody in Donald Trump's camp that still is around Donald Trump came out and said, no, that never happened. Even the family members of the woman said that that never happened. The sister of the woman who was there in the room said that that never happened. They appreciate Donald Trump for everything that they did for their family. But The Atlantic is utilizing massive propaganda techniques right now to divide this country. And see, that should be illegal to a large degree. See, large media companies should not be able to go out there and just blatantly lie about people. That's called defamation, libel, malice. They shouldn't be able to get away with all of this. But now we're hearing a new rumor. And I've seen this on like 10 different X accounts, all the same little memo. Okay. This is the Mockingbird. I have been told that Trump groped a minor at one of his donor dinners, and that there's a video of Donald Trump doing this. Guys, we live in the world of artificial intelligence and deepfakes. If this video surfaces, which I believe a video like this will surface, take it and put it through the ringer. And the reason I say that is because we've known Donald Trump for a long time in society. That is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not that man. With that being said, this video, I would allege, is most likely some type of deep fake, in my opinion. Deep fake or something similar to a deep fake. AI generated or AI modulated. So get ready. Now, Kamala Harris is seizing the opportunity, just like Tim Walz the other day with his bullshit and his propaganda, talking about Mike Flynn and painting an arrow on the backs of Donald Trump and Mike Flynn. Listen to Kamala Harris today. Oh, I'm starting to. Uh-oh. There we go. Sorry.
So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him.
So that's crazy. That's the vice president of the United States of America saying that on unconfounded words. What I mean by that is the general's saying this, but he said that Donald Trump said this in a room full of people. And the room full of people came out and said Donald Trump never said that. By the way, that guy also endorsed Kamala Harris. See what they do? They create this rhetoric. They create these blatant lies, and they go out there and spread it like wildfire. How many liberals have you had a discussion with, a conversation with? And the first things that they do is, oh, Donald Trump's appointment. Oh, I don't like Donald Trump. Oh, he's a rapist. He says that all immigrants are murderers. And you go, actually, no. And they say, oh, yeah, no. CNN told me. Anderson Cooper told me. Kamala Harris told me. But they can't substantiate any of those claims on any basis of evidence. In the Atlantic article that was discussing all of this states that anonymous sources or secondhand sources, someone who heard someone say it, is the one who said this. That's not a source. That is a rumor mill. That is not the truth. That is nothing more than absolutely created rhetoric against a political candidate and, in my opinion, election interference. Now, Donald Trump has filed a federal election commission complaint against the far left labor for helping Kamala Harris campaign for illegal foreign campaign contributions. My opinion is Donald Trump needs to start filing defamation and libel suits against Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and all of these. He needs to change his tone. I'm sorry, but I've been watching Donald Trump's speeches, rallies, everything. He needs to change his tone. He needs to get pissed off. He needs to get up there and say, you know what? This is what these people did. This is what they've been doing. This is what they're going to do. And I'm going to put a stop to it. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Donald Trump gets up there and he talks the same script over and over and over again. And get it. He's doing 60 hours a week of these rallies. But he needs to call these motherfuckers out. And I think Friday, we might have that opportunity on the Joe Rogan podcast. This will be one of the most highly watched podcasts ever. You remember when Tucker came on and had 500,000 views on X with the Donald Trump interview? This is going to blow it away. What does that mean? Is Donald Trump is going to have the platform, the environment, and the ability to distribute to hundreds of millions of people the truth. I hope that when Donald Trump gets at Joe Rogan's show and he sits down for that 3-hour conversation, I hope that Donald Trump just unleashes it all, just lays it all on the table and says, you know, Joe, this is what they've been doing to me. I brought the red binder. Here you go. Look, validate that. See this, see that? This is what they've been doing. This is what they're doing. And he puts it out there for everybody to see on the most watched damn podcast of all time. That would be priceless. Now, Kamala Harris has declined doing an interview with Joe Rogan. And what you're going to find is that Kamala Harris's campaign reached out to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said, sure, we'll do a podcast with you. And then they said, no, we don't want to do a podcast with you. They reached out to Joe Rogan's podcast first. Said, hey, we heard you having Donald Trump on. We'd like to come on. And he's like, oh, sure, I'll do it. And then they're like, nope, we don't want to do it. Because Kamala Harris could not last 3 hours with Joe Rogan. It would be awkward silence for hours upon hours. Now, when we're looking at how this is unfolding, dude, I'm telling you, the left has failed. They have failed so miserably. Democrats, moderates, independents, people who are on the left are voting for Donald Trump. They're no longer voting for these people, which means that there is no way that they can win this election unless they absolutely steal it, crash it, make sure it doesn't happen, implement martial law, or steal the power. That is the only way that is happening. Now, I love this. This is some beautiful irony that we're seeing here. I'll pull this up here. Give me 1 second. I want to blow up the screen just a little bit. I love this beautiful irony. This is the indications that we're winning. And we always talk about these small battles, right? Kamala wins here. Bill Gates just contributed more than $50 million to an organization supporting Kamala Harris. This is huge. Yeah, how huge is that? Look at the next one. A Dutch court has ruled that Bill Gates must stand trial in the Netherlands for allegedly misleading the public about the safety and efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines, according to the Dutch newspaper, De Telegraaf. Bill Gates is going to have his day in court. Wow. Now, what's RFK have to say about this? Let's watch this little clip here.
There was something else, another article about Bill Gates that came out today that said he's just been indicted. He's been indicted in the Netherlands for lying to the public about the COVID vaccine. And he's going to have to go to trial. You think that he wants to go to trial here in the United States of America? You think maybe that's one of the reasons he chose to give $50 million to Kamala Harris?
Wow. And that guy right there is going to be the one coming in and putting these people through a ringer. He's going to be the one that's going to expose the pharmaceutical companies, the vaccine industry, the FDA. He's Bill Gates. He's going to be the one to open the Pandora's box of the CIA and the dark intelligence of the West. If he gets a chance. And that if is a big freaking if. But I think that there's good people in good places. So yesterday, we all learned that former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO, Mike Jeffries, who served as a CEO under Lex Wexner's ownership during the same time as Jeffrey Epstein managed Wexner's wealth, and the two of his associates were arrested yesterday as part of a sex trafficking investigation. Authorities arrested Jeffries in West Palm Beach, Florida, and two of his business associates, Michael Smith and James Jacobson, according to the New York Post. In October of last year, two former U.S. prosecutors called for an investigation to determine whether charges for sex trafficking could be brought after the BBC published a report exposing that Jeffries allegedly exploited men for sex. By the way, this is from Liz Crokin on X.com. If you're not following her, definitely do. It's at LIZCROKIN. Shortly after the BBC's report came out last year, David Bradbury, a former model from Abercrombie and Fitch, sued the fashion retailer and Jeffries, estimating there were over 100 victims. The lawsuit alleges Jeffries had modeling scouts searching the internet and elsewhere to identify attractive young men seeking to be the next face of Abercrombie. Many of these prospective models allegedly became sex trafficking victims. The victims were sent to New York and abroad and allegedly abused by Jeffries and others, all under the ruse they were being recruited to become a Abercrombie model, according to the complaint. Abercrombie was acquitted in 1998 by the Limiteds, or was acquired in 1988 by the Limiteds Lex Wexner for $47 million. Jeffries served as CEO under Wexner's ownership during the same time Epstein managed Wexner's wealth. So shit is happening. Shit is being uncovered. People are getting arrested. We were talking about the former chief of staff to Governor Hochul in New York. We're talking about the mayor of New York and all of his administration and staff. We're talking about all the Chinese spies that have been uncovered in the United States, but it's never enough. Yesterday, we were talking about this with Game Tech, which I found quite interesting because Game Tech said it as I said it, is that she was being set up. What does that mean? She's being set up. Well, I don't think she was being set up. I think what's really happening is that she released a document with them telling her that she would be okay and nothing would come of it, that they will pass it off onto somebody else. And guess what? Poof, just like that. Pentagon denies the Iranian-American official is tied to the Israeli strike leak. Spokesperson Major General Pat Ryder denied media reports that Arian Tabatabi, Chief of Staff of the Assistant Secretary of Defense of Special Operations, is involved in the leak of classified Israel military strike plans against Iran. To my knowledge, this official is not a subject of interest. Kind of interesting. Right after Game Tech and I said last night that nothing will come of it. She'll see no charges. Well, what is happening here? Well, the deep state is fracturing to a large degree. When people fracture, what happens to people when they get scared and they know they're in a very critical position? They start talking. And the question is who's really bringing up these prosecutions against these people? Mike Flynn last week was asked if he would stand as a general on military tribunals. Got to win first. And I agree with him that we need to have these tribunals. Matt Taibbi, I can't speak tonight. Matt Taibbi, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, has exposed CCD hate documents showing the Labour Party's political front's objective to kill Musk's Twitter through advertising focus, meaning harass its advertisers. Not only did they do that, okay, this is going to be larger than the Twitter files. What they were doing is they were a nonprofit in the UK that was being hired by the DNC, so forth, once you start following the money. And then they were taking the money and trying to influence politicians in Europe, Brazil, the United States, to produce legislation against Elon Musk and X. Didn't Elon Musk just have that big court stuff happening in the UK and in Brazil? And they're trying to do the same in the United States? Well, there's politicians that are being influenced by this money of this. That's illegal. Ooh, Mitchell Duke said it best. Where's Jeff Sessions? I want to know. Where's Jeff Sessions? If you don't know the Jeff Sessions theory, Jeff Sessions was Attorney General under Donald Trump, left in, I think, 2019 before Bill Barr came in. 2018, Jeff Sessions then ran for Senate, and Trump endorsed Tuberville instead of Sessions, and Sessions lost the election. And since February of 2021, nobody has heard from Jeff Sessions. Well, there's a Q post out there, and the Q post states, talking about the assignment by Jeff Sessions of John Durham and says, what if there was 2 prosecutors at the same time and one that works outside of DC? And outside of DC doesn't necessarily mean in geographical area. It means out of the authority and the oversight of Congress. And I've laid this out in other shows that what if Jeff Sessions appointed himself special prosecutor, left the attorney general spot, everything else was just optics, him and Trump's feud was just optics, and he has been running with military authority through the United States Army, JAG, and through a special access program, been bringing about all of this dirt to Congress, been bringing about all this dirt to the legal field. The question is do you think Merrick Garland would have approved the arrest of Governor Hochul's former chief of staff, Mayor Adams, any of these people? No. So who's approving it? Only other person other than the attorney general that has that authority would be a special prosecutor. I'm just saying. I think it's a good possibility. Now, I don't think that there's tribunals going on and these people are replaced by clones. I think that technology exists, but I don't. The reason is because the war is real. The war is happening. We're watching this unfold. Listen to this. Woke doctor refused to publish $10 million trans kids study that showed puberty blockers didn't help their mental health state. This is a doctor. Do no harm. Hippocratic oath. And she decides not to publish the study because it would be devastating for all the trans kids out there who would now probably not be able to get puberty blockers because that study would be utilized against them. Those are like the types of people I think that should be at tribunals. Those are the types of people I think should be at tribunals. All right. Alex Jones today. He has been on a rampage. I want you to listen just a little bit of what Alex Jones says here. Nope, I'm not affiliated with Alex Jones. I've met Alex like maybe once or twice. Not affiliated with him at all, but he's been spot on for many years. Doesn't matter if you think he's a good guy or a bad guy. He's been spot on, people. Listen to this.
As you know, the Democrat deep state always accuses you of what they themselves are doing or planning to do. Now, finally, RFK Jr. came out today, and it's gone viral, and pointed out what I've been harping on for a month that almost no one else is covering. Whoever's running the Harris-Biden administration, there was a coup, they removed Biden, it's totally illegal, signed an executive order over a month ago that then the DOD responded to and put out DOD Manual 5240.01 for the first time in history, preparing for civil unrest and shooting and killing demonstrators and how to take over society for civil unrest. They say that's martial law. And I've been screaming for 2 weeks since Harris and Biden and all their surrogates began to say Trump's going to call out the military and have martial law and kill Americans with no evidence. They say, oh, he says he can kill Americans. Never said that. They just make that up off a Supreme Court immunity ruling. It doesn't even say that. It's a total lie, a criminal lie.
He's spot on, people. Projection is one of the methodologies that they utilize. Right now, they're saying that Donald Trump wishes he had Adolf Hitler's generals. They're talking about themselves. Donald Trump is going to suspend the Constitution. He's going to, Tim Waltz the other day, he's going to lock you up. They are telling you what they are going to do to us, whether they win or whether they lose. This DOD directive, yes, it gives them the authority for the DOD to put extensions within law enforcement in the U.S. If there's civil unrest, they can put military police units or military units with these police officers, and they gave them the authority to have lethality or to utilize lethal force. Now, being someone who worked on shore duty, military police officer for 3 years, when you're operating off base with local jurisdictions, you do not have that authority. They just granted it to them. Why? Because they know what's going down. You want to kind of get a glimpse of what's going on here in the sense of Civil War? Go watch A24 Studios movie, Civil War. That'll give you a good indication of what they're fucking planning. And all that started with Leave the World Behind, a massive cyber attack. Now, how is a massive cyber attack going to come forth? Well, warfare.
North Korean soldiers do enter into combat. This development would demonstrate Russia's growing desperation in its war against Ukraine. Russia is suffering extraordinary casualties on the battlefield every single day, but President Putin appears intent on continuing this war. If Russia is indeed forced to turn to North Korea for manpower, this would be a sign of weakness, not strength, on the part of the Kremlin. It would also demonstrate an unprecedented level of direct military cooperation between Russia and North Korea, with security implications in Europe as well as the Indo-Pacific. As we have said before, Russia's cooperation with the North Korean military is in violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions which prohibit the procurement of arms from North Korea and military arms training. This move is likewise a violation. At President Biden's direction, the United States continues to surge security assistance to Ukraine. In just the past...
Notice how John Kirby says, this is a violation. A violation of what? NATO? It's absolutely absurd to hear these people talk sometimes. But the idea here is that, is North Korea operating in Ukraine with help and provision of Russia? Yeah, probably. Why? Well, Russia has been fighting a war for a while. They've lost probably 20, 30,000 people. They want to mitigate their losses, especially when they're ramping up for a bigger war. Get all your people on the battlefield. This is a chessboard, people. Move all your pawns into position. They're telling you exactly, Barbara. They're telling you exactly what they're doing. We are moving to that point where I never wanted to be right by any of this stuff, guys. The firestorm, when I talked about this since 4 years ago, when we said that there's going to be a three-fronted war, that the United States will be in 3 different wars around the world, Asia, Middle East, Europe, I didn't think we'd be right. And it's turning out that every single one of those spots is heating up and about to burst into complete warfare, starting in the Middle East. The United States has just approved $20 billion in loans for Ukraine. More money heading to Ukraine. They are spending us into oblivion. Now, why are we spending so much money in Ukraine? Why are we spending so much money with Israel in the Middle East? Why are we spending so much money fighting these clandestine wars? I've said it before. Energy, rare earth minerals, resources. That's what it's all about. Energy, rare earth minerals, and resources. Ready for this one? Why are we supporting Ukraine so much? U.S. Senator says Ukraine is gold mine worth $12 trillion in minerals we can't afford to lose. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham insisted in a TV interview, he said the West can't afford to lose, and he called to prevent Russia and China from accessing strategic natural resources. You go look at every war-torn place on this planet, and what you're going to find underneath their feet are trillions of dollars of resources. That's the sad part about humanity. That's the sad part about these people, these atheists that are in power, these Satanists that are in power, is that right now it's just a game of risk for them. Just going out, moving their pieces, taking up all the natural resources, and leaving the people in the dirt and killing innocent people. You got to wonder what else is underneath the Middle East. The Middle East is a hot spot for what? Ancient artifacts. That's a show for another day. So a few weeks ago, there was a report that Iran was launching satellites into space through Russia, that North Korea was launching new satellites into space. And I said, this is going to mark the beginning of space warfare. And I said, Iran's satellites will be shot down at some point. Iran's satellites will be shot down at some point. Well, Iran's satellites just went up the other day. Just the other day. Now, do you think that Israel or the U.S. would try to utilize their satellite killers to take them out? I do. And then we get this report here. A Boeing satellite belonging to a multinational service provider, Intelsat, mysteriously broke apart in geostationary orbit over the weekend. According to an official update, an anomaly caused the satellite, known as IS-33E, to be destroyed, resulting in what the company calls a total loss. The exact cause of the breakup remains unclear. The U.S. Space Force announced it is tracking around 20 pieces of debris, but noted no immediate threats. By the way, the satellite, which weighed 14,600 pounds and was roughly the size of a minivan, was designed and manufactured by Boeing Space Systems and launched in 2016. It provided broadband services, including internet and phone communications, to parts of Europe, Africa, and Asia. Bullshit! Bullshit! Guys, 2016, we had things called CubeSats. CubeSats are about this big. They do the same damn thing, and they do it highly more efficiently. Broadband services, including internet and phone communications, 100%. The only thing that weighs 14,600 pounds on a satellite is a satellite killer weapon or a directed energy weapon. And Boeing would be one of those companies that produces it. So what do we think happened here? What do I think happened here? Iran launches satellites up into space through Russia. The West uses this Boeing satellite to go take it out. Russia intervenes, blows up that satellite. And I said, you just saw the beginning of space warfare right here. So, some weird shit's happening. We have the BRICS summit that's going on right now. Number one, Iran has become a full member of BRICS. Turkey, Erdogan, is in BRICS. Didn't I say that all this was going to unfold? Turkey, Erdogan. Well, Erdogan shows up to the BRICS meeting. On the same day, Turkey's interior minister confirms multiple people dead and injured in a terrorist attack at a military aviation company in Ankara. Okay. The same day, Russia's hit by a massive, unprecedented cyber attack at the BRICS summit. So Maria Zakharova reported a large-scale distributed denial-of-service attack targeting the ministry's official website. While the ministry regularly deals with cyber attacks, Zakharova emphasized that this attack was unprecedented in scale. When they say that an attack was unprecedented in scale, what they're actually trying to tell you is that this is a nation-state-derived attack. And if it's not China, because they're at the meeting, it's not North Korea, because they're at the meeting, who do you think it was? Well, why would they be protesting and stopping BRICS from forming? Because BRICS is a military alliance. I've said it since 2019. BRICS was formed as an economic alliance that has transformed and transmuted, I believe, in cahoots with Donald Trump, as a military alliance against NATO, against the West, against the deep state, against the cabal. Basically, the New World Order was almost certain, and now they have competitors who don't like them, who are trying to change the way that they do things. And so what that means is that somebody's going to have to go to war and figure this shit out. And that's most likely what's going to end up happening between BRICS nations and the Western nations, NATO and its allies. So Turkey has begun striking back under the perpetrators of that terrorist attack in Turkey. The PKK targets in Iraq and Syria after the deadly Ankara attack. Turkey's defense ministry confirms airstrikes destroyed 32 targets linked to the Kurdistan Workers' Party, a militant group labeled as a terrorist organization by Turkey, the US, and EU, following an attack near Ankara that killed 5 people. What do we got here? You got radical Islamic terrorists operating in the Middle East. Who are they funded by? Who do you think they're funded by? Either the Mossad or the CIA. And they're utilized like pawns. And what are they doing? They're sending a message to Turkey because the West doesn't want Turkey to leave NATO. It's going to hurt them massively. Erdogan, Turkey, they got good relations with Russia. He's good friends with Putin. Remember, they didn't want the U.S. and the proxy war to occur, the NATO war to occur within Ukraine. They were against it. They're against Sweden and Norway from joining NATO. And they were bribed by Joe Biden with 16 F-16 fighters or 20 F-16 fighters. Erdogan, we talked about the whole thing a few weeks ago. Remember with Erdogan, where the day before he announced that they were submitting their application to join BRICS, there was that false flag U.S. Navy sailors kidnap thing happened, right? And I said, oh, that's a false flag operation. They're trying to produce a color revolution. The next day, massive protests. He announces that they're joining BRICS. Egypt's president comes in, Assisi. Assisi comes in and says they're forming an Islamic alliance against Israel, saving Israel for last. And what it is, it's the BRICS alliance. The 57 nations that came out and the Arab nations that came out against Israel. Turkey went to NATO and asked to utilize military force to intervene in Israel's devastation of Lebanon, which is another large trade partner of Turkey. What's going to happen? Turkey is the wild card that nobody is talking about. Turkey is the wild card that could easily intervene in the Middle East, stop the U.S. involvement, stop Israel dead in their tracks. But then you have the expansion of Iran once again, because economically they are going to be much secure because joining BRICS, they're going to have economic advantages. I hope that the Khamenei regime does collapse and fall. And I hope that the Iranian people are actually able to go out there and vote for real politicians who care for them and care for their people and can run a good country. But at the end of the day, the U.S. and the West have intervened so much within the Middle East that they've destroyed nations and made them third world countries through sanctions and through warfare. And now Israel, we kind of understand, is this motivating factor in the Middle East to bring about the destabilization for reorganization. Bringing about destabilization for reorganization. Now, when I look at what Israel's doing, and by the way, there's multiple Israels that we're talking about here. But when I look at what Israel's doing, I get it, but it's genocide. It's the murdering and maiming of innocent women and children and people. And it needs to stop. It truly needs to stop. There's other methodologies to go about to bring about transitions within regimes and waking people up. That's right, Stephanie. It's human sacrifice. These people are truly sick. And so, with that, we understand that Turkey will most likely intervene. Egypt and Turkey will intervene in Israel somewhere very shortly. Remember, the last time they did that was in 1963. When Egypt and Israel went to war. And it's not going to be good for Israel. But then that brings to the table the Jericho option. We don't want that to become an option. The Jericho option would be absolutely horrific. That's where basically Israel annihilates all of their enemies with nuclear weapons because they're done. So the world right now is on a massive brink. We're watching war games being played everywhere. My points to you are watch the Middle East and watch your cities. Major cities are going to become a target. You got to remember, it's not going to be you and me who create a civil war. It's going to be this highly fueled and instigated rhetoric that is coming from the left that is setting the narrative of what they're going to do next. They're bringing out this Hitler talk. They're bringing out all this talk about targeting and all this stuff. They're bringing that out right now because that's what they're going to do to us, but they're going to blame us for, you guys said this and this and you were doing this and, oh, you guys created all the violence. I guarantee you, if Donald Trump loses on November 5th, on November 6th in your cities, there's going to be red hat MAGA guys with Trump shirts on destroying cities. Instead, it's not going to be red-headed Trump guys. It's going to be military-age illegal immigrants. It's going to be the factions that work and operate for the left. It's going to be Antifa. And they're going to utilize that as the precedent to impose martial law and begin coming after us. If Donald Trump wins, guess what? It's going to be the same thing. They can easily initiate this at any point in time. I've said it before, people. They will scorch the earth before they ever give up power. And so we cannot allow them to do that. And what that means is we have to have a plan. We have to be prepared. We have to be ready. And we are in probably the most critical 12, 13 days of our lives. This is absolutely fucking epic. It's crazy, people. That's right, John Kidd. Fuck around and find out. Right there. Fuck around and find out. All right, guys. Listen, I know it's late. I hope you guys have a great night. If you want to help support us in any way, help keep us alive out here, there's multiple ways to do that. Number one, if you want to email me, feel free to do it. redpillprojectonline@gmail.com. Best way to get a hold of me. If you want to help support us and get in our daily briefs, which are for subscription members, you can go to our Substack, redpillproject.substack.com. Been putting a good one out today. You can also do it on our local. So if you're on Rumble, look below. You're going to see that locals link, redpillproject.locals.com. Or you can go join socialredpill.com. That's our private social network. Tons of people collaborate on there. Also, go to our website. Just visit on there, redpills.tv. Put your email address in. I don't send out a lot of emails. And it's just me that does all this. But it's no we. It's just me. But I appreciate all the support, guys. Don't forget about your immune modulating mushrooms to help support a lot of our sponsors, redpills.tv/mushroom, as well as Good Brew, goodbrew.com/redpill. And then one last thing I wanted to tell you guys about, because we're getting into that holiday season. If you need pillows or slippers or anything like that from Mike Lindell, and you go to MyPillow, you can use that promo code RPP at checkout, RPP at checkout on MyPillow. It does help support Mike. It does help support everything we do here. I know it's a lot of doom and gloom, guys, but we got to get through the next 6 months are critical, and anything can happen. And I know that a lot of us don't have a good feeling. And I think that the reason why we don't is because we see what's coming. And that just means prepare, get ready, have a fucking plan. All right, guys, much love, respect. God bless you. You guys take care. You have a great night. I'm going to see you guys again tomorrow night. Thank you for being with me tonight. Good night.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.